This is a picture of me asserting my dominance over Master Mode Difficulty Moonlord, the final boss of Vanilla Terraria. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done, on par with 100%ing Hollow Knight, Sekiro, and Elden Ring. Getting to this point was a decade-long journey, one that started all the way back when I was a 3rd grader. And now, you're about to watch me take on a full playthrough of arguably the hardest Terraria mod, Calamity, in Revengeance Master Mode. Grab some popcorn and buckle up. This is gonna be fun. Hey, so the video you're about to watch is a supercut of my Calamity playthrough, all 3 episodes of it, into 1 hour-long extended movie. Each part of the playthrough is separated into early, mid, and late, and if you want to see exactly which bosses are where, you can just look in the description and then scrub through. I don't have anything else to say, so enjoy this hour-long movie of my Calamity experience. Upon spawning, after chopping down some trees and opening my starter bag, I roamed around the surface looking for an exposed cave. I eventually found one in the ice biome, and equipped with my trusty topaz staff, I hopped in, excited to see what loot I could find. I was promptly obliterated by an ice bat, and a trap, and an ice bat again. After unwillingly returning to spawn, I took a quick break to start constructing what would eventually become my base, complete with the beginnings of a elevator. Using the ores I acquired from my 2 short caving trips, I suited up and snagged a musket from the neighboring corruption biome, then continued west until I fully explored the left side of my world. After doing a little more cave exploration and finding a few life crystals, I decided it was probably a good idea to start preparing for boss fights. And before long, I had an unexpected visitor. Arming myself with my newly purchased mini shark and scrounging around for some potions, I readied myself for the fight and died. I decided to table the EOC fight for now, just in time for slime rain. Nothing like beating the stuffing out of King Slime, right? Salvaging the few remaining scraps of my pride, I distracted myself with some Sky Island exploration. I was hoping to find some fledgling wings for improved mobility, but instead I found a flying lab, a fuck ton of iron, and some very, very angry bees. Why the fuck do these bees do 50 damage? It was at this point that I knew gear alone wasn't enough to solve my clear skill issues. I narrowed down the hardest parts of the King Slime fight to 3. The boss's TPing, his annoying gems, and the 8 billion slime minions he spawns. The first I could solve entirely by keeping an eye on the minimap. The second I could dodge by getting good, but doing both of those things while also dealing with the minions was going to be a challenge. I landed on using a platinum bow with piercing jester's arrows whenever too many minions collected, usually after the boss lost a quarter of HP. Whenever I wasn't dealing with the minions, I'd be shooting the boss with my mini shark. And even with this strategy, it took me quite a few attempts before I took him down. Finally. In all honesty, the fight wasn't too bad. The Jester's arrows worked like a charm, and the mini shark was surprisingly effective for damage. Even with King Slime murked, I still felt unprepared for the Eye of Cthulhu. I thought I'd tackle a couple more bosses first, namely the Desert Scourge and Giant Clam. For the former, I explored a bit of the underground desert to get the materials to craft the boss spawn item. I knew basically nothing about this boss, so I wasn't sure what to expect. Needless to say, the surprise waiting for me at 50% was,
Surprise, motherfucker! Surprise,
oh, bro,
motherfucker!
come on, you've got to be fucking kidding. So yeah, despite this ridiculous second phase, I managed to hold my own pretty well, meaning that it was probably manageable if I just learned how to dodge. After numerous attempts, I learned the key to this fight, which is to focus on dodging the Scourge's head, a single hit from which does 2 times more damage than any other attack. Even if I got hit by the occasional projectile or nuisance, so long as I watched the minimap for when he was charging, I'd be fine. Damn, that boss music is fire. The main reason I'm playing this mod really is DM DOKURO's music. That shit is pure gas. I then made my way down to the sunken sea to test the Scourge's gear against the giant clam, an endeavor which proved to be no challenge whatsoever. This convinced me that it was finally time to take on the Eye of Cthulhu. With the added mobility from my newly minted Spectre boots, beating the EOC was now just a matter of kiting and using strategic recalls whenever I ran out of arena space. With a few more bosses under my belt, I had also shaken off most of the rust from my year-long hiatus, so I was able to defeat the Eye of Cthulhu without any major setbacks.
Nice.
After doing a few extra boss kills, I set my sights on the next Calamity boss, Crabulon. Much like the Scourge, using the minimap was a winning strategy to keep distance while also watching for an incoming attack. Got him. That worked. Next was the Eater of Worlds, a fight that I had struggled with for a long time in my Master Mode run, despite the twist for this boss being literally spawning it 4 times. On my first attempt, I said this: I think this is very doable. I don't think there have ever been words uttered that have aged more poorly. When I say this fight absolutely beat me into the ground, I mean it literally. All the momentum I had from beating Scourge, Eye of Cthulhu, Crabulon evaporated. I actually ended up having to back away from the fight for a bit. I was getting so frustrated that it was impacting my ability to play the game. In the meantime, I went and did the Acid Rain event in the Sulphurous Sea. From the event drops, I was able to craft this nifty little summon, a surprise tool that will help us later. Well, more like now, because on my next attempt with the EOW, I spawned it on a whim and almost coated my monitor in white gel. Even after finding this goated summon, it still took me several attempts to beat him. This is the final run and my reaction.
Fuck me, I'm gonna die. Oh my god! Oh my god! Fucking finally! Oh my... Yeah! Oh, the fight is so fucking hard! Oh my god!
So after that harrowing experience, I was ready to kick back and relax, coast by a few more easy bosses, and take down the Wall of Flesh. But our favorite mod had some other plans. The Hive Mind, an innocuous, brain-shaped boss spawned by killing a hive tumor in the corruption. This fucking piece of shit took so damn long to beat, I had to literally go through my PC's hard drive to make space for the hours of recording it took me to kill him. Let me show you why this boss sucks so much, alright? First phase, easy. You just dodge his stupid projectiles and watch for his teleporting. No big deal. His second phase, he teleports and orbits around you, spamming his stupid fucking vile spit. For his third phase, he does the same stupid shit for phase 2, but he's way faster, and every time he teleports, he spawns 4 different enemies, one of which spawns these stupid fucking rain clouds that do 70 damage and can't be killed. You might be thinking, gee Jacob, that fight doesn't look too bad. You were handling it just fine. And yeah, I was. after hours of trying to find a workaround for all the bullshit this boss throws at you. See those blocks that I placed at the top of the arena? Yeah, they're the only way I could deal with the dark hearts and the rain clouds. See the drone thing that I used to beat the Eater of Worlds? That's the only way I could deal with the boss's vile spit. See the volcano? Whoa, 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 wait. What the hell is this?
Really as simple as using the volcano. Are you fucking
Okay, let me just explain what happened there. The volcano is a melee weapon that is normally absolute dog shit, and it was able to nuke the hive mind's HP in seconds. After all the effort I put into making the other stuff work, all it took to win was using the worst weapon in the game. That's it, I'm fucking done. Your mod fucking sucks. It's your fault that I'm bad at the video game. Fuck off, you stupid fucking nincompoops. Send. After scooping up a ton of aerolite ore from some sky islands, I dripped myself out with a new set of armor, tools, and weaponry. I also finally got some new accessories. At last, after 20 hours of gameplay, I have wings. With all the new loot and gear I'd been getting from boss fights, I realized that now was a good time to expand my base. I'd planned to only work on the storage section, but what I ended up doing was a 3-hour remodel, involving hundreds of explosives and thousands of blocks of Ebenstone. As someone who normally only focuses on the combat in Terraria, I was pretty proud of how my base turned out. But regardless, I had sat still for too long. My newly forged Windblade was itching for some fresh boss blood. My next target, Queen Bee. This victory left me with only 3 bosses in pre-hard mode: Skeletron, the Slime God, and of course, Wall of Flesh. I was somewhat dreading the changes that Calamity had made to Skeletron, but I was pleased to learn they didn't massacre my bony boy. They made it so his hands respawn, and his head now shoots a lot more skulls. Also, he can teleport, because why not?
fuck? I dog shit video game. Oh my god, yeah, bro. Let's try talking to next one. Wait, the skull splits? Oh my. I love a Fortnite, bro. Oh! Oh my god, I did it! Oh my god, I did it! Oh my god! Holy crap! Oh, let's go, baby. Oh, today is a glorious day.
This boss might be tied with Desert Scourge for my favorite of pre-hard mode. The changes they made were great, and it was super cool seeing his hands respawn. Also, it didn't make me want to punch a hole through my monitor in frustration, which was a nice change of pace. I wasted no time before jumping into the dungeon. I was looking for 3 things: the majestic Miramasa, the kawaii cobalt shield, and the beloved bewitching table. I wanted to find the mechanic too. She is an absolute baddie. And believe me, I am not letting the Goblin Tinkerer hit. Up next was the penultimate boss of Pre-Hardmode, the Slime God. This was an interesting one, to say the least. On my first attempt, it seemed like all the fight entailed was 2 king slimes at once.
Oh, hi. Oh, you are ugly. Holy. Damn, you're ugly.
From what I could tell, it didn't seem like a bad fight,
Oh,
but on my
25.
second attempt, this happened.
Oh, you little piece of shit. That's not a great place to go. What? What? You're not supposed to do that. I don't think you're supposed to give me that. It's not a trap, right? Like, I mean, I didn't even kill him.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is a Calamity bug, a Terraria bug, or somewhere in between. Of course, I could have just counted this as a kill and moved on, but that's fucking lame.
Shit.
Slime God, or like, Slime Discord mod. Now the only thing standing between me and hard mode Calamity was one massive, meaty slab of flesh. And believe me, I'm trained in the art of taking absolutely massive, meaty slabs of flesh. Let's do this.
Come on. Oh, shit. I did it. Oh, my Christ. Dude, my heart's actually, like, pounding. Hold on.
We're cutting to the end of the last video, right after I demolished Wall of Flesh. With Calamity's changes to hard mode Orison Life Fruit, I considered jumping straight into the mines and gearing up. But first, I decided to do a quick test run against the Destroyer. I wanted to see if this mod's hard mode was really all that hard. I think that fight speaks for itself. Let's get geared. Full Cobalt, acquired. 20 Life Fruits, acquired. Pixie Wings, acquired. New sick-ass shotgun, absolutely acquired. Queen Slime, in my sights. Next, Cryogen, the first Calamity boss of hard mode. Although parts of this fight felt like a mini-boss, it was still really fun. Dodging his attacks is super satisfying, and the boss music is an absolute banger. Energized by my first 2 victories, I figured that now was a good time to challenge my first mechanical boss. After doing a little testing, I decided that the twins were probably the easiest to start with. My weapon of choice was the Celestial Claymore, a sword that spawns stars on the player's cursor. Since all the twins do is follow you, all I had to do was aim behind me and let them run straight into a swarm of stars. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Well, as it turns out, I was really the one playing stupid games. Technically, only Spasmatism follows the player, while Retinazer hides out in the back. And when Spasmatism dies, Retinazer goes into phase 3. He spams lasers, fires homing missiles, and has the most inconsistent dash pattern I've ever seen. My ass cheeks were clenched for the entire last half of the fight, which, by the way, was fucking 7.5 minutes long. But don't worry, I'm not gonna hold a grudge. I wasted no time getting a full set of Orichalcum armor in my beloved Mithril Anvil. Using it, I made B-Wings, which give a permanent honey buff. I also quickly wanted to mention the Amalgamated Brain. If you ever see me get hit but not take damage, this thing is why. But enough yapping about builds. Anyone up for some sushi? Another Fire Calamity boss bites the dust. The Aquatic Scourge is the perfect evolution to the Desert Scourge for Pre-Hardmode, with a remixed boss theme and fun attacks to boot. Now you might have missed this little drop from the boss, the Submarine Shocker. It's a cute dagger with minimal range. Although I make a point of testing every new weapon I find, I must admit that I wasn't expecting much. It's just a dagger, how good could it really be? Oh, it seems to be a little stronger than I thought, especially against enemies that don't take knockback. Enemies that don't take... Oh, okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it seems we found our solution to the destroyer problem. And now it's time for the final mechanical boss, Skeletron Prime. First, let me just show you what I have to contend with. Yep, you're seeing that right. Skeletron Prime spawns another boss when it gets to 75% health. I genuinely cannot justify this from a game design perspective. I don't understand how anyone can think, how should I make this boss harder? Oh, I know, I should make him spawn another fucking boss. Like what? And get this, it's not just the Destroyer. At 50%, Prime spawns the twins too, meaning that you'll be fighting all 3 mechanical bosses at once. It doesn't matter that they both despawn at 75% or the fact that I've beaten them already. It's still absolutely ridiculous. But I knew whining wouldn't solve anything. I needed to suck it up and get good. And after dozens of attempts over several hours, I did.
Oh my god. Holy fucking shit. That fight is so hard. Oh my god. I literally died at the fucking oh my god. This mod is fucking ridiculous. Dude, if these bosses get harder than that, I'm fucked.
If you couldn't tell, I was getting a little worried about the mod's difficulty. Skeletron Prime was the first boss of the entire playthrough that had really tested my skill, and I still felt like I had barely dipped my toes in a hard mode. Although I felt a little better after popping a Blood Orange, upgrading to Angel Treads, Hallowed Armor, and a True Knight's Edge, given that the next boss held the namesake of the final boss, I was still expecting to get tossed. But I could have never predicted what happened next.
Get boxed, buddy! Get boxed! Get fucking boxed! Get boxed!
You'll have to excuse my rather intense reaction. After dying endlessly to Skeletron Prime for a day and a half, I one-attempted Calamity's clone, with no buffs, no prep, and only getting hit once. Regardless of how easy that fight might have been, it restored my confidence, and after obliterating Plantera in a similarly quick fashion, my concerns about lacking skill disappeared, for better or for worse. Before taking on Anahita and the Leviathan, I thought that now would be a good time to get a new pair of wings. I summoned a Solar Eclipse, and after a few Mothron kills, I got her wings, as well as this rusty little sword. Sorry, Anahita, your song's beautiful, but my Terrorblade's hungry.
Can we kill the siren, please? Thanks. G. Dude, that was actually fun. I like that fight.
Gotta say, I was not expecting a massive fucking whale to appear on my screen during that fight. And no, that is not a Leviathan, that's a fucking whale. By the way, this was my initial reaction when I fought the boss for the first time.
Hello? What the fuck? What the hell? Bro, that was the last thing I was expecting from this fight.
But while we're on the topic of massive fucking animals, let's talk about Astrum Aureus. He's basically Crabulon if he was made out of extraterrestrial metal and did 300 contact damage.
Oh my god. Come on. Live. Holy. This is not great. This is not great. This is suboptimal. Die, 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 die. Yes, 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 yes.
Dude, I almost threw so fucking hard.
Although Aureus didn't drop much in the way of useful weapons, he did drop a very sexy consumable that permanently buffed my adrenaline and damage reduction. I also took this opportunity to craft the Asgard's Valor, which allows the player to dash directly through enemies and bosses. It was at this point that something was beginning to feel off. Ever since Skeletron Prime, I was taking down bosses with very minimal stress. Sure, it occasionally took a few attempts to learn their attack patterns, but with buffs, a good arena, and a little bit of luck, they all went down without much of a fight.
Easy, easy. No buffs, first attempt.
But I brushed off these worries. Maybe I just underestimated my skill, I thought, ignoring my sense of unease. Whatever, I'll worry about it after I beat Golem. I'll be the first to admit, I don't like vanilla Golem. He's probably my least favorite boss in the entire game. But maybe the Calamity devs reworked him into the best boss?
How on earth am I supposed to dodge all that?
No. No, they did not. In fact, they somehow made him worse. Not only did they keep the enclosed arena, but they also made him fire way more projectiles, some of which linger for half the fight. Not to mention the absurd lifetime of fireballs, the ridiculous amount of health and armor, and the fact that you still have to run through the entire jungle temple for every attempt. This was what my gut was trying to tell me. How could I have been so blind? So foolish? The Eater of Worlds, mechanical bosses, and now Golem. Skeletron Prime should have set off an alarm, but my victories had blinded me from the truth. That the Calamity devs are seemingly incapable of redesigning a vanilla boss. And you want to know what's even worse? I was debating making an edit of the winning Golem fight, but it was actually so boring that it wasn't even worth the time or effort to do that. Literally all I did for the entire fight was circle around Golem for 3 minutes, spamming my bloody cleaver until he died. How absolutely riveting. What a fucking waste of time. But I learned my lesson. I needed to compensate for my lacking skill with the best gear I could get my hands on. For Plaguebringer Goliath, I made sure to fully kit myself out, with full hydrothermic armor, Miracle Fruit, and Hadal Mantle Wings. And it was absolutely worth the effort.
This fight is fucking awesome, but oh my god is it hard.
Although Goliath restored a bit of my faith in the Calamity devs, in spite of my best efforts, my struggles with vanilla bosses returned. The Lunatic Cultist fight ended up being one of the most infuriating gaming experiences that I've ever had. In addition to super buffed attacks, his ritual now always spawns something, regardless of whether or not you attack the right clone. Which, in my opinion, is an absolutely fucking brilliant game design decision. What a great change to an already fucking wonderful boss. Good job, devs. But I was going to see this fight through no matter what. Despite how much I hated fighting Fishron, I beat him 3 more times for the Brawny Baron, which he never dropped. I tried crafting new weapons, like the Fallen Paladin's hammer, but it did fuck all damage. I even went through the trouble of looking at my recordings to see if I could dodge any better, and I physically couldn't. All I could do was attempt the fight over and over, hoping that there would be one blessed run that I wouldn't throw. 80 plus attempts on the most asinine boss ever conceived. Fuck lunatic cultist. You know what? I'm done. I'm done putting up with all this bullshit. The challenges that I've overcome, bullshit I've endured, and the frustration I've felt. None of it matters now. All that stands between me and the end of hard mode is a single boss. Bring it on, Moon Lord. Following my victory over Moonlord, I was officially in uncharted territory. My wealth of knowledge about Vanilla Terraria was now completely worthless, and I was unsure of just how difficult this mod would become. After making Solar Flare armor and upgrading to Celestial Tracers, I held my Meowmere tight as I challenged my first late game Calamity boss, the Profane Guardians. While this fight did ease my worries about the mod's difficulty, it also informed me that the fights were going to get much more intricate. Let's take Dragon Folly for example. His fight introduces forced arena borders, which would have been really annoying if the boss wasn't ridiculously easy. Can you imagine if they gave a mechanic like this to an actually difficult boss? I made sure to gear up before attempting Providence. I was getting sick of aiming with the Meowmere, so I crafted the Solstice Claymore. I also farmed Analev for the community and Golem for the Destroyer emblem. Providence ended up being one of the most balanced fights of the entire playthrough, and a total blast to boot. I'm not saying that because it was easy, because I definitely sucked dick during this fight, but more because it's well telegraphed, you have time to react to shit, and for once, I don't have to spend 8 billion attempts on one boss. But what am I doing just telling you guys about it? Seeing is believing after all. Next up are the Servants of the Scourge, the Ceaseless Void, Stormweaver, and Sigmas, who need to be fought in the dungeon, space, and hell respectively. But rather than showing each fight individually, how about I fight all 3 of them at once? Okay, so I've actually got a really fucking stupid confession to make. I thought it was Sigmus, not Cygnus, this entire time, and I just now realized that's how you spell it. But anyway, Ceaseless Void was probably the hardest. That's because you can't fucking see his attacks. Stormweaver is honestly a massive joke. Like, the only thing that matters is he only takes damage from his head and tail. But you know what? It's a good thing the devs gave this annoying-ass mechanic to an easy boss. Can you imagine if they gave something like that to an actually difficult boss? Part of me wonders who this Devourer guy even is, but it probably doesn't matter. I mean, like, what's the Devourer gonna do? Eat me? I'm gonna be completely honest here. All 3 of the servants felt like mini-bosses. So that leads me to believe that Poltergeist won't be anywhere near as easy as that. I literally woke up, got on Terraria, and beat him with 0 warm-up. I mean, he's literally just a more annoying Plantera. Like, why the hell was I even worried? That fight was actually light work. Now, despite all the evidence suggesting that bosses were going to be easy, I'll admit that I was still dreading the Old Duke fight. But once again, my worries proved to be unfounded. Old Duke was a breeze, and compared to regular Duke, he's a washed-up old codger. Like I said, a breeze. And honestly, every boss in this video has been like that. I haven't even needed to use buffs for half of them. I thought this video would be beatdown after beatdown, but somehow, I'm actually having fun? It's like I'm genuinely enjoying my time playing this mod. You know, maybe I could get used to this. What the fuck was that? What is happening? So this is the Devourer. Well, it seems we finally found our first actually challenging fight. Although I bet things will get a little better when we get to phase 2. Wait, what the, hello? Dude, what the fuck did I just witness? I'm fucked. Fighting the Devourer for the first time truly brought new meaning to the words Rude Awakening. Never before have I experienced such a crazy spike in difficulty, not in vanilla Terraria, Calamity, or any other game. Although my Death's Ascension was extremely powerful against Old Duke, it was nowhere near strong enough to chew through Dog's 2 million HP. Instead, I crafted the Galileo Gladius, a weapon with better homing projectiles and more consistent damage. Given that Dog has some of the most deranged attacks I've seen out of any boss, formulating strategies to make the fight more consistent was a necessity. 1. Keeping the minimap open during the fight. This has dual purposes, watching for charges and getting damage in, even when the boss is off screen. 2. Flying straight up or down to dodge phase 1 laser attacks. This works for all but one pattern. And 2.5. Watching for when the boss goes transparent to dodge phase 2 laser attacks. This gives me as much time to react and position myself as possible. 3. The Absorber Hot Swap. This gives me boosted DPS and healing without wasting an accessory slot. 4. Asgard's Valor Dashing. This prevents entrapment while surrounded. And even with all these techniques, Dog still pushed me to my limits. But after over 100 attempts, I finally won. In many ways, Yeren is like a super buffed Duke Fishron. Not only does he seem to have the same AI, but he also announces his charges with roars, creates massive tornadoes, launches humming projectiles, and teleports at low health. I was forced to make a completely new, massive arena to even stand a chance in the second phase, and spent over 100 attempts learning the fight inside and out. Last night, I wrote out a whole list of strategies for this video, detailing how to counter every attack and deal with every phase. But the absolute best advice I could give to anyone struggling is to practice, over and over and over again. It'll be a struggle fest, no doubt. But after every attempt, you'll get just a little bit better. And when you're finally good enough, the fight transforms into a satisfying and beautiful dance. This is my favorite fight of the mod, hands down. Its incredible balance of difficulty and pacing makes it more than deserving, but the music really seals the deal. The amount of adrenaline that was coursing through my veins rivals that of the hardest bosses I've ever fought, making Yaren a truly unforgettable opponent. DM DOKURO and the Calamity devs, you've truly outdone yourselves. And now, the final obstacle. Although this fight was ass-clenchingly difficult, Dog and Yaren had conditioned me for long boss grinds. Dozens of attempts flew by in the blink of an eye, and though I could never seem to make it through her first phase, I kept at it. Did I doubt my abilities, my skill at the game? Absolutely. But when had that ever stopped me? In Vanilla Terraria, Hard Mode Calamity, Sekiro, Elden Ring? Why should Calamitous, why should this one boss be the thing that breaks me? So to quote an amazing movie, no matter how many times I got hit, slashed, lasered, fisted, or pulverized, I always got back up. And after 96 attempts that failed to get past the first phase, this was the 97th. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. That's it for Calamity, at least my first playthrough of it. Infernum is definitely something I want to do, but that depends on how well this video does. In other words, if you want to see me suffer through more Calamity, like this video and subscribe. If you're watching this far, you clearly like what you see, so why not? As for the immediate future, I'm definitely going to make a tier list video. I mean, it's literally free low effort content, and maybe play some other games that I've been neglecting, like Ori and the Will of the Wisps, Lies of P, and some other stuff I have on my radar. But until then, thanks for watching and stay safe out there.